What's good, YouTube land? That Weird Collector here. So, it's review number 300! Yay! Sparkles and stuff. Now, normally I don't care about the 10th anniversaries, but, I have something slightly big. I figured why not make a slightly big deal out of it. It's Transformers War for Cybertron Siege Jetfire's box. Yep, just reviewing the box. Alrighty. So, got a big old picture of Jetfire right there. Or Skyfire, which we'll talk about. The Siege right here. The logo. The Transformers right up here. You got about the Generations logo with the Takara Tomy logo. It is a decent action shot of Jetfire. With some Seekers in the background. Yep, there's some Seekers right here. There's hint. Right there. Hint. You got your Hasbro logo, your Jetfire. Is there anybody else in the shot? Not really. Oh, there's some somebody right down here attacking whoever this is. He's right here. Can you see him? Ah. Right down there. On the side, you have the biggest one of these shots yet. And oh, that's definitely Hound. He's carrying Hound. You can tell by the chest plate. But other than that, nothing. Well, it says authentic. That's definitely going to prevent people from knocking it off. Not at all. Did I ever notice Prowl right there? I don't know if I did, but there's Prowl right there beside Chromia. And we, on the other side, we just have a continuation of that shot. With that ship that's blasting off right there. Along with Commander class, which is not the small, I think Commander class used to be like that size or something like that, I don't remember. And on the back, you've got your action shots, your combat ready, your 36 steps, your weapons pack and whatnot. On the top, nothing. Well, that looks like a missile. That actually, yeah, that's definitely a missile. And on the bottom, nothing. So in the box, we have this. Yep. This is all you get. Right there. Yeah. I've been playing this with this toy for months now, I think. Gotta be like a couple months. And put off this review. Mostly because I already tried to film it. And it didn't work, but this is Jetfire, and this is honestly, well, the most like the cartoon model Jetfire's ever looked. From brief glances of the stills from the cartoon, this is actually fairly accurate for Jet and or Skyfire. But I'm still not sure how I feel about him. So first off, Jetfire / Skyfire. Well, his name. They had to change his name for some reason because they took a Bandai toy, it was a Macross Valkyrie, and they just put it on the screen, and that gave them legal issues. So they had to change his outfit to this, and I believe they had to change his name to Skyfire. Or was it Skyfire and they changed it to Jetfire? I think it was it was Jetfire That to change it to Skyfire, they've never actually called him Skyfire. He's always just been Jetfire. But yeah, Commander class means he be tall. For a size comparison, here's a deluxe. He barely reaches above his knee. Here's a Voyager. Barely reaches his hand. Now, this figure also has a little bit of an interesting, at least in my opinion, because they released a Jetfire for Combiner Wars at the leader class. And I never did get that toy, although I did try to buy it off eBay, and the person got shut down before they ever shipped it to me, so I got my money back, but it was basically illegal, I believe. But yeah, I've never had access to the mold, the Combiner Wars Jetfire, because the chrome, really, that, and I never saw them in stores. But what I do have is a specific remold of as Combiner Wars Skywarp. They're similar, but that's how a leader class looks compared to Jetfire, Commander class. Yeah. Let's go more with size comparisons. Here's Reflector's camera mode. Let's give a. It doesn't even come up to his crotch. Theoretically, Jetfire could, as I was talking about in the review, hold the camera. There's nothing for his hands to grab onto besides just something like that. And it does look out of proportion and silly. There's that. Let's go with somebody older, but Cybertron Megatron, who's still a good head shorter than Commander class. So this guy is the biggest, that I can tell, new figure that's been released in the past couple, I gotta say, decade. The only one in my collection, give me a second as I put Megatron back on my shelf. The only one in my collection who is bigger, and it's not by much, but he is technically bigger, is Cybertron himself, Primus. Like, he's not much bigger. He's not much taller. Like, he's about as tall to Jetfire as Jetfire is to Megatron. Also, how have I not... I swear I have to do that in the review of Megatron as compare him to Primus, because they're from the same line, but... yeah. He's basically on that scale. Although this thing I said about him being the only one isn't completely true. Because yeah. He's yep. Now this guy potential spoiler warnings for review number 400. But if I do review this guy, let me ask you, do you want to see like a one gigantic video of everything? Or do you want to see like multi-part for each of the individual figures that comprise or compromise, in your opinion, Predaking? Let me know, because this is a daunting task. This guy. Dang it. Now, moving back to Jetfire. Yeah. His robot mode is probably my favorite part of him. Of the package that is Jetfire. Like, it's the one I just sit and play with more than his alt mode. It has its faults, sure, but overall it's still a fun robot to play with because most of his joints are ratcheting joints. So, give you a good shot of the head. It's very classic Jetfire, with the stern silver face, big pointy nose that could rival Triple H's, and the unique helmet shape of the, I don't want to say unique, but like the iconic Jetfire helmet design of like looking like he has headphones on and a blue mohawk. He does have light piping, but unfortunately it's of the variety where unless you stick a light, high intensity light right behind it, you're not going to get anything. So I have to, you can't even, like, legitimately, I can't do this. I can't do this on camera. There you go. That's the best I'm going to get. His eyes do light up bright blue, along with his forehead crest. Give you a good, I can't give you a good shot, and that's the best you're going to get. But it's really unfortunate because they glow like bright blue. And it's kind of blinded a bunch of you, but it sucks that they couldn't come up with a better way to let the light in. He also has a big Autobot insignia right there in his chest, which we will talk about in a bit. Other than that, he's a very, he's almost monochromatic. But that's how Jetfire looked, honestly. And also, the monochrome isn't completely true. Now, he does have his look of wearing a white onesie with highlighted by some accents of red, translucent, and this gunmetal gray. When you come to the legs, it's not completely true. They are white, but they have this weird shade of like very light gray covering the shins and some of the thighs. It might not even come off in camera. You might have to look at it in person, but like it confuses me. Because like it's all white plastic. There's actually very little paint on this guy. It's all done with plastic tones. Maybe the blue on his helmet. Yeah, the blue on his helmet's paint. And other than that, I can't tell where the paint is. It's like it might some of the pieces might be white paint, but because they're painted over in the glossy, really light gray. I can't tell if it's white plastic or white paint. I'm pretty sure it's all white plastic. Although there might be some paint, again, the white on his helmet might be paint. But other than that, he's got a little bit of gunmetal gray on his toes. red thighs. Not even red thighs. The sides of his shins are red. And he's got a really big backpack of red and white and gunmetal. But other than that, yeah, he's very heavy on the white. Now, I will talk about the gimmickry before we get into articulation, because there is a small amount of gimmickry. These things go forward. These little crotch bars, which we'll get to actually in his jet mode. But other than that, this is the big. Well, I don't want to say a big gimmick, because his big gimmick is weaponizing. But his tiny gimmick is he's got a flippable badge. He's got a Decepticon badge as well. Because it's the story. It dates back to the G1 cartoon where before the war, him and Starscream were mates. They were best friends. They were scientists together, which is the explanation of why Jetfire looks like this. He's a scientist and he experimented on himself like all the time, like giving him the most recent upgrades and all that, making his body look as good as he could. Because I guess, as well as being a scientist, I guess he had a bit of an ego. But yeah, he and Starscream were best friends, fellow scientists, before Starscream had to join the air patrol of the Decepticons. And one day, out on a flight, it was snowing. Why they were flying through the snow, I don't know. But Jetfire ended up crash landing. They were flying. They weren't vehicle mode flying, they were robot mode flying. And Starscream kind of abandoned him. And like millennia passed and the war broke out. I think they were on Earth, because they discovered him long into the battle. And they unthawed him, and well, actually, Megatron and Starscream found him. So he joined up with Starscream, who he just assumed was still his friend. And you know what they say, all hail Megatron. So he became a Decepticon. But he preferred science rather than destruction. So quickly grew tiresome with the Decepticons and joined the Autobots. So you have the flippable insignia, depending on which side of which faction you want him to be. Now, he does look very weird for a Decepticon, if you want him a Decepticon. I think that's, like, it's because of the colors, but it's twofold. It's, one, because it's white, red, and blue. It's very, Optimus Prime, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's also the shade of the colors. Like, the Autobots have bright colors. Bright white, bright blues, bright reds, all that kind of thing. They're bright, they're positive, they're the good guys. The Decepticons tend to have darker tones. Purple, like darker purples, dark, like orange, gray instead of white, like darker reds, darker blues, to indicate they're the bad guys, kind of. So having a character like this be so bright and light, be a Decepticon, it feels like it doesn't fit. So there's that. And there's also one neat bit of thing where apparently Jetfire was supposed to be the leader of the Autobots originally instead of Optimus Prime. There's actually like artwork depicting him as the leader, which is kind of odd thinking about how they ended up introducing him anyway. But all that aside, we have to get to articulation. So the head has 2 points. It's on a swivel along with a hinge, so he can look up. But weirdly, he has a secondary neck joint that's on a hinge that on the panel, which doesn't look good. And it's only for this kind of pose. It only works in this kind of pose. Because to transform, his head goes in here. It's a spring-loaded flap and whatever. But if you do this, it doesn't fit, and it ends up pushing his head back down into the stationary position. So the only reason I can see for that neck joint there is because to recreate the scene where he's flying around with Starscream. Or I guess if he did that later with the Autobots, then to recreate that. It's really weird that they would want to recreate that. They don't normally give that much neck articulation action to Transformers. It's just like, his head normally has to like form out of. I'm looking at all my guys, and everybody just either has a ball joint or a left and right swivel. They don't often give this kind of posability to a neck. And there's also Jetfire has like the Siege standard tons of detail, like tons of sculpted detail everywhere. That if I showed it all, it'd be way too long. I've already rambled on for over 20 minutes. So, yep. Shoulders ratcheted. 4 clicks tonight. Oh, that doesn't make a good noise. 8 clicks to go all the way up. It only started making that noise recently, because if I go to the other arm, it doesn't sound bad. It sounds smooth, it sounds sturdy, but this one, it sounds very creaky, like either the springs coiled up too much, not enough. I don't know what's causing that. I looked inside his chest one day because I could, but I didn't see anything. One of my problems, the way this guy transforms, his shoulders can't stay in due to the under tension from his ratchet outward movement. You have to force and the fact that here's a weird thing. So if you look in that shoulder joint, there's where can I show it best? There's a slot right there and a tab right there. Now that tab doesn't get used in robot mode because the slot is over it. It actually gets up using that tab in the vehicle mode. But what's the point of the slot there then? If it's not going to be used at all, why couldn't it, I don't know, keep the shoulder in place? No. This one is way worse. Because this one, well, it actually holds a bit, it holds a little bit. If you have it down here, it will actually hold. This one, nope, going right away. Although I'll give it credit, it doesn't. No, I'm not going to give it credit. Yeah. But that's the shoulders. There is a bicep swivel, one of the few non-ratcheted joints on this toy. Elbows, double hinged, double ratchet. Get a full range, but he kind of gets the wizard sleeve look, like the floating elbow joint. And that's also part of the transformation, which is sort of another issue. You have to put very specific pressure on the back of it if you don't want to transform it. Because there's nothing in the back of his sleeve, it just immediately goes into transformation. You do have a wrist swivel, but it doesn't peg in very well, the hand. The hand is nicely sculpted, though. Its fingers have well, they don't have any spread. They do have slightly different sizes, which is human-like, I guess. It's got a swivel and it's got a hinge to go outward. The little trick it does, there's the weapon port right there, but as you open it, it does that. It comes to pieces, but it also hides the weapon port, which is kind of nice, giving you a little bit of a more natural-looking open hand that I don't mind. That's the good stuff in the upper body. Then we get to probably the weakest, no, definitely the weakest joint in the toy is his waist joint. Because, while it is fully cut, so theoretically you could go all the way around, right here, his hip skirts, even if you, let's say, get them forward, you can't go any farther because it just crashes right into his pelvis, the back of his pelvis. It crashes into his ass, basically. So this is all the range you get. You'd think with a line like Siege, who's been doing perfect waist joints the whole time, they would have figured it out on, well, the second biggest figure they released so far. Oh yeah, he's not the biggest. There is one other. Did you get the hints at the start? Did I hammer it in enough? I will get a hammer. Never mind. Below the waist, well, his hip skirts can also flap all the way up. Completely pointless, mind you. Has nothing to do with the transformation or either mode. It's just the sliding out feature has a point. The hip skirt panels, damn it. This does not. His hips, fully ratcheted. The legs are kind of my favorite part to mess with. It's got full, but due to the molding, you have to get it to this like awkward, slightly out angle. But it's 4 clicks to go 90 degrees. Not bad. Sounds very nice. Oh, I wasn't going to get to knee yet, but you also have a thigh swivel, which does get hindered by, again, the sculpting of this toy. So it can't go in anywhere, but it can go out to there. And outward for hips, you have the full Van Damme, but it's on. Thankfully, it's on a non-ratcheted joint. Although that does mean his hips are a tiny bit weak going out. Like his left one is stronger than his right one, because his right one just goes meh, meh. But the left one can actually stay out there a little bit. It is actually a little bit sturdy. Although if you force it to go, it won't fight you. And then now we get to the knee. Fully ratcheted. Very nice sound. Here, let's go on the other side. These two joints in tandem are kind of my favorite joints to play with. Because you can go backwards, all that far. Oh, we can go backwards as well. It's like, let's count how many, count the ratchets with me, kids. If there are kids watching. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, possibly 10. but 9 ratchets. Ha ha ha. Funny enough, his knees have more ratchet points than every other joint on his body. With the shoulders coming in at 8, and let's count the elbows. 4, 5, 6, 7. Still. And okay, let's go from here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh wow, his outward shoulder. Well, horribly stiff and very uncomfortable. Has the most points of ratcheting on this whole toy. Never mind. Unfortunately, the knees, you lose. And one last thing, he has two last things. He has folding in for the transformation. His heels, which have a 5mm weapon port on them, and his toes both have hinges, and his whole ankle has a hinge, but this is kind of stupid. It's tabbed in. Like, ridiculous. Ugh. Like, it feels like I'm breaking it because it's tabbed in with this. And you'd think that wouldn't be, like, that's such a small tab, but you lock it in, and, like, that's how it takes a little bit of force to just break his ankle. You're actually breaking his ankle. Like, it legitimately just looks like you're breaking his ankle. Yeah. But yeah, that's Jetfire's posability. It's kind of ratcheted bliss. A frustrating mix of fun ratchets, scary ratchets, and okay. I don't even know, hinge joints. Let's just go with that. But I say he's not a statue, but he stands there looking like a statue, like very daunting. But he is honestly very fun to play with in robot mode. It's fun to just pick up a joint and start messing with it. So you'd think that would be it. You know, robot mode, go into jet mode. But there was something else in the box. In the terms of this weapon pack, which we will put Jetfire down for a second. And in it as well, to give it a full effect, I guess, take out, these two weren't in the box. They were with one of the other Siege figures. He's sitting somewhere, but this weapons pack, I guess what I can say about it is it's the cleanest way they've ever done this. Because the Classics guy kind of was awkward. The Generations guy was overly chromy and like. But this guy kind of goes for, I don't want to say subtle, because it's a bunch of weapons just crammed together, but like efficient, I guess would be a good way to say it. So this is kind of, minus these pieces, this is like, well, it's actually, this is its jet mode configuration. And that's kind of my problem with this. We'll talk about what I like about it in this mode compared to what I don't like about it in jet mode. So to get it ready, we're gonna disassemble it. So take these pieces off, take that piece off, put it to the side, do the same thing on the other side. Now take these pieces off, these pieces, and take this. And now, here's an interesting thing you could do. This gun separates into two halves. Okay, fold up the big trigger, the big handle, fold out the two small handles. It's a bit of an auto morph. I don't want to say automorph, but automatic. Like you fold this one up, and the big one folds out. Big, but it's not big. It's the exact same size. It's just designed for the uniform gun to have one handle instead of two. But here's from screenshots again. From what I've seen in the cartoon, Jetfire uses the gun as a double, like as a single piece. But at Skyfire, like in this photograph, it wants you to think that use them in two separate guns. Well, even the box art of Skyfire has it as a double gun. So, like, tell me what you want me to do, Hasbro. Really. And you can fit them both in his hands. They do fit decently. Although it's kind of a pain with the wrist swivel to actually, like, get the force required, but they do fit there. They're actually some of my favorite gun sculpts because they look like generic guns. And yeah, it's kind of, he's okay posability, going Rambo or shooting up in the air or stuff, I guess, pointing them forward. They wobble around a bit too much, but they look good. You can sort of get dynamic with them. Kind of pointing out to the side. This kind of stuff. I never know how to pose robots with guns. I can't really, like, I don't find any fault with the guns, I guess. The robot mode isn't a problem with the weapons pack, as I keep alluding to. So let's actually see what we do with the rest of this stuff. So there are two things we have to do to get Jetfire prepared to receive an upgrade. First off, I didn't mention them, but there are tiny little flaps right there, which you can't see from that far away. But you you have to flip them out, and they do nothing for him. Truthfully, in his basic robot mode, but for Skyfire, they actually hold the chest. They hold the chest. And the other thing is there are pegs hidden in the back parts of the wings. Now, you can actually get them out here, but it's annoying. Ugh. It's like, it's frustrating because there's barely any room. Like, you have to have really long nails or, like, not, I don't know, something. So the easiest way I do it is I fold out the wing and I fold back the wing and the peg stays out and then you hinge the peg forward. And now that you know how the wing transforms, it does look like somebody just chopped off his wings right there. It's kind of unfortunate and looks kind of gruesome. That's like somebody really didn't want him to fly, so they just chopped off his wings, even though they're right back there. So fold out those pieces, and we're ready to go. Easiest things I can do. These pieces have, well, they have two pegs, but one of them like gets in the way. So like if you try to use a small one, plus it's small, so you're not going to have much connection. But take the big one, plug it into his forearm, because by golly, this guy has tons of 5mm peg holes. And plug the other one in. This is just the default configuration Hasbro wants you to use. Take those. Take these. plug them into the pegs. I'll give you a good shot. It's really just a generic thing that's trying to pass as a gun, I guess. It's got some detail and just full of holes. I'm not going to make a joke about it. Nope. So those go there. The bigger pieces that we took off, there's a hole right there in the bottom, and there are these tabs right here on either side that somehow fit and actually have a secure connection. So you tab them right in there. Tab right. So he has spires coming off his backpack. Now these parts, they're the traditional siege effect part, but it's actually 3 pieces in one, all with 5mm pegs, but also they have a slightly smaller hole in the middle, so you can use them either as effect parts for damage, which they stay on, or you can actually, as I showed earlier, peg them into each gun to kind of be like muzzle flashes. Or you can actually plug them into the back, which is, here's the thing that what I normally do if I, come on Jetfire, come on. If you're going to combine them, they only go like this is the configuration, because if you just try and do like this and then plug this in, it doesn't work, or there's nowhere else you can go with that. You could theoretically make them actually into one. Plug that, plug that, plug that. But then this has nowhere to go. Unless you... No, it doesn't have any. So, what I tend to do with this is plug them in. And there are 5mm pegs in his, his jetpack and his jet engines. And I tend to keep them right here because it actually makes him look like he's flying really fast. You know, whoa! Kind of like Iron Man's repulsor gauntlets, a little bit. Except that would mean they would have to be on the feet if he's flying, or if he's trying to stop, he repulsed, or he's trying to get off the ground, whoa, kind of thing. You can plug them here. Like he took a really bad blast right to the shin. You can, hilariously, this is another thing I love to do. They barely have enough room, but if you manipulate things a proper way, fuck. There's my swear word for the video. No, it's not family friendly. Come on. Making me look bad. I'm trying to do something funny and you're making me look bad. It actually does kind of, well, this part, make it look like he's holding a shitty lightsaber. At least that's what I think about when I, like, there. The lightsaber is literally, he's igniting it from his hand. He's got no hilt. His hand is the hilt of the lightsaber. That looks hilariously stupid, and I don't know why I like it. It's just, I do. It's stupid. But let's put the double gun in his hand. He's got the double gun in his hand. Although double gun here and here, they're both. He's got 6 barrels of death. And the last piece, sort of. is this. So it's got his color scheme of white, gray, and red, along with an Autobot insignia. But if you flip it up, there's a face in there. And if you can get a hold of it, you kind of have to push from the back to get like a proper, like push it out properly. You plug it into his face, or I don't know if it plugs in. Actually, it does, sort of. I mean, look in the back. It's one translucent blue piece, but there's a little nub right there. But otherwise, it just uses friction to actually stay on his face. And this is where it's painfully obvious the difference between the white plastic and the white paint, because the white paint has a glossier. It's like looking at the side of it, it's very obvious there's differences because it's just translucent blue plastic painted over. But then you take this piece, and there are two slots right there on either side that are just big enough, if you can actually get them, to tab into the slots you opened up on his chest. Normally I can get one, and then like eventually I'll get the other. See, I can get one, and then at some point I might get the other to cooperate. There you go. And this is basically him in Skyfire, the Macross Valkyrie looking guy. It looks okay. I appreciate that none of the gimmicks are intrusive. Like these pieces, while they don't provide, they barely provide a little bit of black to his color scheme, but like they don't get in the way. Although it's unfortunate that the chest covers up the blue, but it does still peek out a little bit. And the helmet. There is one problem with the helmet. If you try and use the light piping, it doesn't light pipe as a visor. It light pipes as two eyes under a visor. So maybe just accept the fact that he has a translucent visor now, and he actually does kind of look alive. But my problem with this comes with how little anything happens. Like a chest piece and a head. That's the only significance. Otherwise, it looks like the exact same robot. There's really nothing happening other than you just put guns on him. In fact, you don't even have to put the guns here. You can sort of put it right here, although it won't actually stay. You can put them on the wings. This is the thing I like the most about the 5mm peg system, or peg and port system. You can kind of make your own fun. You can put them there. I like to put them, although he can't really use them, put them on his shins. I guess you can put them the other way, but then he can't stand. But you can put them on his shin. And that's honestly about it. You can sort of peg it in the back here. Yeah, okay. I hadn't tried that before, but you can peg it right there. This is going to be an hour-long review. I can feel it. Maybe we can skip forward, because this does nothing to articulation. Like, articulation's the exact same. He doesn't lose anything. He doesn't gain anything. Although, kind of why I did this earlier is because these are the perfect effect parts to recreate like a muzzle flash. And to me, it looks like he's firing pink energy. And you know what they say about pink energy?
Too much pink energy is dangerous.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Zordon. Or, I guess in this universe you might be Alpha Trion? I don't know. So now, we have to get to the jet mode, which involves, well, stripping everything off. There's no way to transform him with this stuff on. take everything off. Everything off. Fold the pegs back in place. Take the mask off. Chest plate off. Which is kind of, it feels like a huge oversight. But, yeah. Now, the transformation on this guy, how do I describe it? But tons of small movements, but nothing overly dramatic. So let's start. We're going to start by putting the arms down. To transform him, we're going to just get his arms ready. Elbow to elbow. You're going to flip out the hand. Come in here. Flip out this piece all the way, and then flip the hand back into place with the hand positioned like that. And then you want to fold up this piece. Oh, I didn't even mention that piece is on a hinge, on a ratcheted hinge. And then you want to have his arm like that. That's how the arm is going to look. The same thing goes for the other side. It doesn't matter what order you do them. You can do them in literally any order. I could have started with the legs, but I just started with the arms. You can, well, we'll do the wings for last. Sure. Or some. Slide these pieces out. Rotate that on its hinge. Slide that out. Do the same thing. We're going to want to take the backpack and slide it out. Fold it down. You don't have to, actually, let's not do that now. Pretend I didn't do that. Come to the leg. Take that piece. Hinge it all the way to the back. Do the same thing on the other side. It pegs in. And then you can fold up the foot. Like that. You hear a soft click, and then his leg has got the Combiner Wars style. It's actually on a hinge right there. It's on a double hinge slide. You slide it up. It doesn't really tab anywhere yet, but just kind of lock into place right here. It's gonna have a further lock in a bit. Fold that up. So it looks like that. Now the big thing, or I guess the biggest motion, you're going to pull these up. You can rotate them now, but actually you shouldn't. The biggest thing is you're going to take his chest piece, pull it all the way up, pull it undone. So you're undoing his shirt. Fold those out now, and you're going to fold out the tip of his nose cone. We're going to leave that alone for a second. You don't want to take these parts and put them inside. And they're going to tab right into these two holes right here where my fingers are. You know, get that past. There's a little bit of clearance issues, but yeah. The tab in like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Yep, I folded the piece up. And have these bits hanging out like that. No, I did the deluxe. Yeah, okay. I was just curious about myself for a second if I did the size comparison or not. So then these pieces come in and they can actually tab into, well, the slots that were part of his chest right here. Do it on the other side. There's the tabs, because there's a slot there, and it sort of pegs in to a piece right up here, but not really if you have both together, so it kind of just always looks awkward. Do that on the opposite side. Come on, there we go. It was stuck for a second, so it looks like that. Now we'll come to the wings. Slide them backwards, fold this piece out, fold this hinge down, this one goes around, and you have a full wing. Same thing on the other side, down, down, everything just goes down, 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 down. And then the big backpack folds an inch or two, and it actually pegs in to these pits. So there you have your jet mode. I'm not the biggest fan of this mode. You can do additional things. You can actually, there's 3 pieces of folding out landing gear with actual rolling caster wheels. One there and one on each kneecap. Like that. They all roll not really well, but yeah. The biggest issue with the jet mode is, look at that. What does that look like? It looks like a folded up robot. This is the biggest thing where I got him into this mode, and I just looked at him, I'm like, seriously. Like, I appreciate going back to like very solid engineering designs, like back to basics, like just things that make a vehicle mode solid. But he's doing nothing to hide his robot mode. In fact, he's barely hiding his head, which you can see right in there. Right there. He's not even hiding his head. Sure, it's looking off to the side, but that's kind of by accident. Like, in robot mode, he had some elements that said, this guy might turn into a plane. Or this guy turns into a plane, like the jet cockpit thing. And the wings. But other than that, and some venting right here. But other than that, he looked like a sturdy robot. Here, it doesn't look like a plane. It looks like a robot trying to be a plane and failing. First off, why does he need 2 cockpits? Now, there is a bit of gimmick for the cockpits. Due to the way this transforms, it does have a spring-loaded feature. So, theoretically, you could... The actual TF Wiki says this. You can remove this piece, and there's actually 2 seats in there. I don't know who you could fit in there that they have to be smaller than a Minicon or a Micromaster. But you can do that. You can also, because this way this transforms, you can open up the cockpit from this angle, which first off, that's not how a cockpit opens up. And there's this gray piece in here, which is very difficult to get out. It's kind of like an engine block. And again, also, why is an engine block or something that kind of looks like an engine block in his cockpit where theoretically people would be? Although I know this is Cybertron and like you don't have to hide because there are no people. Here. I'm trying to... This is the issue with these pieces, that they're solid in robot mode, but they're not solid in jet mode. It's like the tabs are too low. Maybe I'm doing some of this stuff wrong. I don't really know. But, oh, it just fell out. Okay. Where did it land? There it is. Here's this thing, which also has a 5mm peg port on it. Why? I guess you can peg a gun into it? There's literally nothing for it to peg onto. Like, nothing has an extraneous peg you can plug it onto. it's there, but I don't know why. Maybe it's something from the cartoon. I have no idea. Hold that up. And, well, that's it for gimmicks. It's actually, there's one small thing. I say small, but you may be wondering why we flipped out these 2 black and 2 red handles. Well, they actually are 5mm pegs. This guy is designed to ferry, or I guess, yeah, sort of, ferry Autobots into battle. So, what you're supposed to do, sort of, is something that resembles this. Although, it's kind of a problem. Well, actually, that's not a problem. Because he's hanging there. Let's get Mirage into this. Mirage can go on the front. That's actually how some people hang out of airplanes. But, yeah. You can have 4 Autobots hanging off, ready to drop off into battle. It's actually a neat gimmick I don't think I've seen. And it is in no way intrusive to enjoying Jetfire, nor do you actually really need to do it at all, because you can just peg them right back into place if you want. These 2, they have to stay out, but you can carry 4 Autobots into battle. And I do like the note on the transformation. I do like the wings, how much they actually do. Like they have 1, 2, 3, technically 4 moving pieces to make them look different in the 2 modes, which is kind of cool. Accessories. Let's talk that. Accessories. The only thing that this toy, I don't like how the accessories work in jet mode. So you saw it earlier, but I'll just show. This pegs into the top of the gun on 4 pegs, 4 slots are right there, and these 2 and these 2. That tabs on. This piece goes nowhere else in the jet mode but on top of this gun. There's nothing else you can do. Oh, it also has hard points, which I briefly demonstrated. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 4. And Jetfire has 2. He's got 2 on each shin. 1 on that shoulder ball. 1, he's covered in hard points to do, make it look like he's taking a lot of gunfire. Which is something I forgot to mention until now. So, continue on with the accessory pack. These things have that slot right there in the side, and they tab in to slots. I mean, they have that tab. God, I'm getting my slots and tabs all mixed up. A slot is a vagina. A tab is a penis. If that's how I have to remember it, that's how I have to remember it. To look like that. These pieces have this unique slot tab right there, which tabs in to the side of the chest, which you can use in robot mode. I didn't, but you just so you know, you can still use them like that, although it's kind of pointless. And then these peg into holes right there. Also, dang it, this piece. So this kind of almost looks like a gun. Very small gun, but if you need more weapons, there's your go. Tab in like that. And this piece, the connection is not the strongest, so it likes to force itself out. And that is your weapons pack. With that, the instructions. Damn it. Tell you to do that. Now, this actually is in my opinion, this is more a hindrance than anything. Because if I remove it, these are also on hinges, flapping up. In basic jet mode, they're up there. You have to fold them down to put the weapons pack on. And then you can do what you want, swoosh it around with its massive wingspan and double thrusters in the back. You could execute a really sketchy Gerwalk mode. I'm not going to do it. Oh, and I've noticed the tip right there also has that weird light gray paint on it for seemingly no reason. Because this toy doesn't have battle damage effect on it. You'd think that being Siege's like line-wide gimmick, other than the combat system and the lots of articulation. Oh, and this still works if you want him to have both a Decepticon insignia and an Autobot symbol. But my problem comes with the fact that this is just a hunk that can swivel. It's using the combat system so barely. Like, we can have more fun with this. We can plug these bits into here, back into their robot mode configuration. We can plug them into here to make them forward-facing guns. We can plug these into there, although it's kind of looser connection. We can take this one, do the other thing, do the same thing. We can do differently. We can plug it. No, that's not going to plug in there. There's nothing around. You can plug them into here if you want. Although I don't know why you want to, because that's where an Autobot's going to hold on to. But let's plug it into the wing. Let's plug the other one into the same place I plugged the first one. And we have to disassemble a little, but these things have, again, two tabs on 2 pegs. Oh my god. Plug that in. And you can take these. Now, actually plugging them into the shins makes it a little bit not as a little bit of sense, but also none, because they kind of, well, they barely scrape past the side of his jet mode. So, like, they barely, like, any closer and they would he would hit himself. And, like, there's no use of these unique tabs. He's got two tabs on the top. Like, it's nicely molded and looks weird. It looks like an alien twin cannon, but they've also got hard points on them. And each of these towers has a hard point on the back. The big one, the big tower, and the small tower. The small tower actually has 2. So it has one on each end. You can have a lot of fun with this guy. And I, as predictably, stick the effects into his engines to make it look like he's going really fast. But it comes down to this piece. This piece has nowhere else to go. And it looks bad. It just looks like a chunk hanging out. It doesn't look like it's doing anything. It doesn't look like a turret. You could pop it open and like feign some missile spam, like Macross style. Because he is a Macross Valkyrie after all. But like, take that off and you don't lose anything. Even, we could put the gun somewhere. You could, oh. Like, the gun there looks okay. It's a swiveling turret. You know, it's got, it's, unfortunately the hinge is in the wrong place to make it actually tilt up properly, but that doesn't look bad. I mean, I kind of wish you could plug it in right here, but there's really nothing to keep it solid there. And you could split it up. You could peg it under each wing. But then there's nowhere to go for these pieces. Like, this thing tries to do so much, and yet it feels like it stumbles a little when it comes to like effective use of the things. Because there is a lot going on with this toy. I'll give it that. I've talked about this thing for over an hour. It's a fun toy. It is definitely a fun toy, but the biggest issue, bigger than anything the toy has, is the price. While this guy is big, he is very simple. He's like, he's not much more difficult than the current Deluxes and Voyagers and Leaders on the shelf. Like, I paid about $120 Canadian for this guy. Now, I'm satisfied with my purchase. Whether I can recommend this as a big Christmas present, like, it'd have to be a Christmas present, because, like, you're not going to spend that much money. Like, little Jimmy's mom is not going to spend that much money on one toy at once. It's just not going to happen. It's like a Christmas present makes sense. But for this Christmas, there is a more expensive toy. One I don't even have yet. Is it Commander class? I don't know. I do know it's at least double the price. I'm alluding to, which I don't know if we'll ever get to, the guy on the box, Omega Supreme. He is double the price at $242 Canadian before tax. That's going to run you after tax something like $300, close to it. Actually, I can do the math. No. If it was $242.99 times 0.13, it's about $270. Yeah, $275 basically. So this guy, I paid about $200 for Predaking. To give you an example, he was around $200. Even then, I had to convince myself that I wanted to buy it. Because, like, looking at it, I'm like, it's $200. Do I need that for bills? This guy was a bit less money, but for some reason, as soon as I saw him in store, in my hands, I was like, yeah, I bought it. But do I recommend Jetfire? Is all this been building up to? Well, yes and no. The transformation is simple. It's not that much harder than one of these guys. But it's just bigger, really. And sure, he's got ratcheting joints. That's kind of the only thing that's keeping him alive at this size. And it's kind of a novelty to have a Transformer at this size nowadays. But this jet mode is so flaky. Like, the only things keeping it a jet are the nose cone and the wings. And, okay, the nose cone, the wings, and the thrusters. That's really the only things keeping it from just being a robot scrunched up a little. It's kind of hard not to recommend it. He's a big, chunky, fun action figure with a bunch of neat little gimmicks that thankfully don't hinder anything or don't get in the way. And, well, it's fun to have a jet this big. Like, I have to hold him here to be all the way in frame. Like, for the size factor alone, if you can stomach the price, I'd say pick him up. Maybe pick him up in stores, because, like, shipping has got to be... You saw the box. You saw the box. And this is him shrunken down. This is him not quite at his biggest. Lengthwise. Obviously, widthwise, it's a different story, but... This video has gone on a long time. I've been rambling a lot. Thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. Who knows, maybe I'll still be doing this in 100 reviews. And also, I don't know when I'll be doing Omega Supreme. It might be either Predaking or Omega Supreme for 400. We'll see, but thank you for sticking with me through 300 weird reviews. Whether it's Transformers, Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Mortal Kombat, WWE, which I haven't done any of recently. I hope I have entertained. I hope you have enjoyed. But until next time, keep it weird. We'll see what the future has in store with the bullshit rules YouTube is... Never. Bye. Thank you, and goodbye.